All right. Well, I wanted to give you some insight into what I've learned here as an entrepreneur of 2.5 years. I started in entrepreneurship. I was fresh out of high school, didn't want to go to college, had the opportunity to go to college, and just decided, hey man, this wasn't for me. Like, it just felt like such a heavy step for me to go commit to something for 4 years that I didn't even know, that I didn't even have any clue if it would be something I'd want to pursue long term. And decided out of high school to kind of just do my own thing, took the year off, kind of was being a little bit of a bum, drinking, kind of forced myself to grow up early in a sense. I kind of got partying and drinking out of the way early. Got a fake ID when I was 18, was in drinking in the bars when I was 19, and, kind of got onto that scene fast. Basically kind of wasted the next year and a half of my life going into 2023. And then I finally kind of decided to start getting it together. At least I thought. I had an opportunity to work with my dad, who was in the trades, and ended up doing that for a little while and absolutely hated it. I was like, there is no way I can do this for the rest of my life. Literally no way. Like, I cannot sit here and be a slave to these guys, get bitched at by my foreman for the rest of my life. Like, what? I get to look forward to being a foreman, and then I maybe get to touch retirement, but then my body's going to be cooked by the time I even get to that age. Like, no wonder these people are abusing drugs and, they go into the bar every weekend. Like, it makes sense now. Like, I understand how the system works. And then I kind of started to discover different influencers on YouTube, like Luke Belmar, Liam Otley, different people, Charlie Morgan, Sam Ovens. And it allowed me to start kind of shifting my paradigm on how the world worked. I then quickly decided, hey, I want to start a business. Like, this is what I want to do. And in late 2023, I would say at this point, looking into the fall of 2023. And that's when everything started. I started to kind of turn my life around, turn my health around. I was getting up at 4 a.m. every single day to go to work my day job. I was listening to podcasts in my ears. Wasn't really taking my day job seriously, just kind of looking at it as a money vehicle at the time. And then I would go to the gym right after I would get done with work after a long 10-hour day, go work out for an hour and a half. Then I would come back home, do studying, do some learning, and kind of started to gain my expertise and skill sets in different things and different tools that, now looking back, like, really paved the foundation of me as an entrepreneur. I started with TikTok Shop pretty early on. Didn't see too much success with it. I didn't have the best environment to be posting that kind of content, and failed a couple of businesses right off the bat. Started in AI. Didn't have any idea of how to package, how to market, how to do things effectively, and kind of was just learning as I go. I decided to try to sell and white label Go High Level as kind of like an AI solution. They had some AI features and tools in their platform back then, and at this point it was early 2023 or late 2023, early 2024, and at that point, pushed that, went all in, quit my day job to go into the new year of 2024, and decided, hey man, this is it. We're doing this now. Started an AI agency, worked out pretty well. Did cold outreach, learned the scope, learned the ropes of how business works. Got a couple clients, and then just realized the solution we were selling was just too expensive. At the time, AI was expensive and it costed a lot of money to run, and it wasn't mainstream. Now, if I look back and I think about it, it's like, wow, if I stuck with that business model, I could probably be in a really, great place right now. But at the same time, I realized that this entire journey, this entire, pursuit that I've gone through over the past couple of years, it's all for good reason. That's why I'm talking to you now. So I've experienced a lot of business in general here. Now, fast forward 2 years in, we're coming up onto 2026. It's December 14th at the time of me recording this video. And there's so much I've learned and experienced as a business owner and entrepreneur. And I've not necessarily achieved crazy material success in my life and in my business. I'm in a great place. I have a great environment around me. I'm in a great area, one of the best areas in my town. I'm in a small town in Green Bay, Wisconsin. There's not much more you can get from that. And I'm in a pretty solid environment, if I had to say so myself. And, I'd say I'm clearly in one of the best places I've been mentally in a very long time. You see, I was just such a strong overthinker. I'm very scatterbrained. I'm a very kind of back and forth thinker type of guy. I like to bounce my ideas around. I'm a very articulate person. Like I gain a lot of insight very quickly on different ideas that come to me kind of out of the blue. But then I get distracted, right? I get shiny object syndrome, and this is what happened for a good year and a half when I started entrepreneurship until I really settled into that vehicle. I would get shiny object syndrome and think of all these new ideas. And people think nowadays, oh, it's so easy to start a business. Like I can start multiple businesses. Like you have all these ideas, but you can't just pick one and continue to pursue. So there's this video that I saw of Sam Ovens, one of the goats of info. He ran consulting.com, generated multi-eight figures online with online products and courses. Now the co-founder of school.com. He made this video about energy. Right now it's like, I was the kind of guy that had my energy going in all sorts of different directions, right? And it was only going so far because you only have so much energy you can expenditure in a day, or in a week, however your timeline looks. And, in the beginning and early stages of entrepreneurship for me, I had, energy going towards this app idea. I had energy going towards this AI offer. I had energy going towards this content idea. I had energy going towards this TikTok shop play. And I had all these different plays that I had energy shooting out towards. But it never allowed me to focus on one thing, right? And now I'm in a position as an entrepreneur where I'm running a local service business and kind of building my personal brand simultaneously with that. And it's one lever, it's one energy source going into one specific thing that kind of just feeds into other things as well at the same time. So early on in my career, I realized not really quickly, but I realized now looking back on that I had my energy expended in too many places at once. I was trying to be too many things at once. And I think this is a mistake a lot of young entrepreneurs make, is they try to do all things and not one thing, right? You can't do everything really well. You can only do one thing or two things really, really well. And you can't expect fast success or success to come to you if you aren't focused on one thing and mastering one thing specifically, right? Like taking the momentum, if you already have it, and just doubling down on it. Another mistake that I've made, that I've experienced pretty recently, and it's not something I've really talked about, it's something I've kind of started to expand and kind of, come through and learn from, is early on before I was an entrepreneur, before I was in entrepreneurship, I was, kind of heavily involved with marijuana and alcohol and different drugs, and I was abusing that pretty frequently, on a consistent basis, thinking that it was enhancing, how I operated on a day-to-day basis. And I quit it initially cold turkey. I was vaping quite consistently for 6 years. I started literally in middle school, and I quit that cold turkey. And then weed was the next substance that I had to kind of battle away from. Now, when I was doing it and when I was partaking, I always felt this anxiety kind of come forth within me. It's just a very uncomfortable anxiety. It's almost if like everyone knew I was stoned. Everybody knew that like it's almost like you start regretting your decision, but you're not directly regretting the decision of partaking. Like you don't blame it on that. You blame all these external factors and all the past for your current situation, which is, it's valid, right? But you can't change the past. So it's almost like I would get into this reflection state on marijuana, and I would be in a position where I would just feel so scrambled in the head, and I would feel bad about myself, and it would just be a very anxious time for me when I was high, and I never looked at it as like, wow, this is a problem. I just kept doing it kind of blindly. And then I quit cold turkey for a year, and then I brought it back up. Over the summer, we started a service business locally here in my hometown, and I started doing that to kind of cope with how busy we were. We were so busy, right? And I will say there's circumstances where this is a beneficial tool, right? If you're in a position where you're in a big reflection, sort of reflective state, I think mushrooms or psychedelics or some sort of like marijuana is a solid substance to use if you're looking to kind of extrapolate insight or reflect in some sort of way. But not when you're trying to build, not when you're in a building season, it's very bad. It's going to really make you stall. So just recently here over the past 90 days or so, decided to completely cold turkey it, quit it. Was doing a lot of it every single day, multiple J's a day, really just screwing the mind up, feeling sloppy, feeling unsure of our decisions and our direction, and just recently started to become sober and really feeling more consistency. I feel like it's fully out of my system now here. I can say confidently 90 days later, it's like finally I'm in a position mentally where I can focus on pursuing forward. Like I feel like I finally have like that foundation, like the last piece of the puzzle needed to be stripped away. It's almost like you put it together, right? And now everything feels complete. So I'd say try to avoid any sort of substances as much as you can. At least don't abuse them on a day-to-day basis, because that's going to screw up your mind, that's going to screw up your thought process and just like your intentions, right? Like this can really mask and make you rethink things when you shouldn't even be rethinking things. So that's something that I've learned here over the past couple of years. I mean, I was off of it and I came back to it, and I regret coming back to it because it really made me not be logical with my decisions and just overall not like make poor decisions, and waste a lot of time and money in the process. Another thing is you need to be healthy. You need to take care of your health. And it sounds so cliche, it sounds so dumb. You can hear people all over the internet talking about this type of stuff. But when I first started out, I was always, relatively healthy. I was born with decent genetics. Obviously, I was pretty skinny for a kid. And in high school, had a strength training program I was following, so already kind of had that lifting background. Went out of high school, started drinking, started to see the bar scene, into the trades a little bit, and I started to get really lazy. I started to eat shit. I started to eat terrible foods. I didn't really understand what I was putting in my body and how that actually would affect how I operate on a day-to-day basis, how I feel on a daily basis. So I quickly became to realize that this is what I need to do. Like I need to start optimizing my health, my body. So I started to get consistent in the gym, started to do workouts as much as I could, at least 5 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week, and hit movements that enhance my flexibility and also enhance my strength and endurance. And I quickly realized that, hey, just because you're working out, just because you're, exercising in the gym, doesn't mean you're going to be gaining any sort of physical improvement in your life unless you optimize your diet. Now, this was the biggest thing that I neglected and had really no conscious with was my diet. Like I just never really took it seriously. I never thought it mattered, just ate whatever I ate because I've been skinny my whole life. I've never gained weight really just by eating. And then just kind of started to realize with my brother, he kind of started to dive into the health world and just realized how terrible the things we've been putting in our body our entire lives were. And realizing that most of the stuff that we eat within our nutrition and our diet is what causes acne, stress, laziness, eye bags, pale skin, crappy hair, bad physique. All of these things had the root cause of your diet. And I started to just implement eating whole foods, ground beef, rice, grass-fed milk, grass-fed butter. Yes, it's a decently expensive diet to live, and obviously it does cost you time, but at the end of the day, you're buying yourself so much more time, so much more energy, higher levels of happiness and just overall excitement for the day when you have a really good whole foods diet. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're eating McDonald's every single day just because it saves you time, sure, yeah, it saves you time, but at the end of the day, it's killing your productivity. Same thing with energy drinks. Same thing with all these cheats. I'm a coffee guy. Yeah, I'll drink coffee here and there. I don't try to make it an obsession. I don't try to make it an everyday thing for me. But, I think caffeine, energy drinks, any artificial energy is just terrible, for your heart, for your body, and any sugar in any way. Cutting this stuff out has really improved my mindset and just overall how I think as an entrepreneur. And then another thing here is don't neglect learning. I got motion, about midway through 2025, like real motion, finally making multiple five figures within months, and seeing success in my business for the first time that actually sustained. And I quickly realized that success is hard to sustain, right? I initially thought I was too good. I initially thought I was too good for the business that I was running, because I came from an online kind of business operator background. And I thought, well, we're doing this business. We kind of just ran this business as a last resort. I was living at my mom's house at the time with my brother. $3,000 in credit card debt, $5,000 in credit card debt, living at her house, not bringing in any money, trying to do cold calling, not getting anywhere, trying to learn these new skills. Throughout the winter, it was a very tough winter. And spring came around and we decided to start a landscaping company. Started doing mulch with people, and it just took off. We just started running Facebook ads, took all the expertise and everything that I learned from being an online operator and helping coaches, creators, and consultants scale, and just my AI expertise, and put it into a service business locally. And it was almost like it was a last resort kind of thing. And it worked. Like, we got out of our mom's house. We're in this amazing environment now, in an environment that we can build off of. Grateful to be here, everything happened so fast. And, we thought we were too good for it. August comes around, we get into this place, and we think, well, man, let's start something online. This isn't high leverage enough for us. We've done this enough. We were doing it for 3 months, 4 months, and we decided, hey, let's jump ship. It's not worth our time anymore. We can do better things, bigger things, right? Like, we had a really strong ambition. Like, I still really do, but we wanted things to happen extremely fast. And I've quickly realized, like, hey, building consistency and building something that lasts and that's worthwhile takes time. And quickly our business started to fail, right? Like, we literally ditched everything. We got to the point where we started to sports bet, started to gamble, thinking that that was something we could predictably predict and we could make money off of it. That's what the marijuana was doing to us, and that's just how delusional we were at the time in this new area, in this new, environment, and we were still being stupid with how we were acting. But now all of that is behind us. I've lived through it all. And I just want to say to you, as a young entrepreneur, like, once you find that thing, dude, don't jump ship because you think you're too good for it. How can you master this, right? Even if it doesn't seem like it's the best and it's the most fun thing for you, how can you make it fun for you? How can you make it something you're passionate about, right? That's your baby, bro. That's your project. That is your business you've built from the ground up, from scratch, that people enjoy, that people buy from and love the experience with. Right? Like, don't feel like you have to jump ship too early just because all these guys are online making this FU kind of money. Like, you don't have to jump ship, dude. You can just stay calm, stay level-headed, and keep pushing, right? Like, have the long-term goal in mind, but just keep pursuing and keep pushing, right? So that's something to definitely keep in mind as a entrepreneur who has motion, but feels like they're too good for what they're doing. Because that's just you thinking you're ahead, when realistically you just need to put the time in, man. You can't cheat time. Time is actually on our side. As an entrepreneur, here's another thing that I've learned is time matters more than you think. A lot of entrepreneurs and gurus that you see online, they say, hey, you have to move with speed. Fast, fast, fast. Go as hard as you can. All day, every day. And I think that in certain circumstances and seasons of business, that is relevant. But I don't think that's how you should be operating at all times. I was operating that way, and I was operating like, hey, I just need to go as fast as possible. Go, go, go. Neglect everything, ditch everything, just be in my own world of consistently building. And in doing this, I didn't let time unfold. Like, I just thought I could beat time. At the end of the day, yes, with AI, with all these tools we have out nowadays, sure, you could potentially enhance the speed of which you can be successful or achieve a specific outcome. But it's still not necessarily a guarantee, right? Like, you still have to play the time game. And I've kind of just mentally framed it as like, hey, fuck the timeline. I know it's going to happen. Now it's just, let's take the actions every day, because at the end of the day, I think it's quality over quantity, especially in this stage of the world and just where we are in the trust economy and just overall the creator economy and just the service economy, just the business economy in general. Quality over quantity, right? Like, you don't want to be doing things, hey, I'm going to build out this offer in one day, right? Like, hold on. I'm going to build it out in one day and I'm going to launch it. You doing that in one day, your brain it doesn't have enough data, or like, you haven't been able to think through it clearly enough to be able to see if that's really how you want to structure it, right? Because you could have new ideas come to you over time to where you're like, oh, maybe we should switch this, or maybe we should switch that. Same thing with building a product, same thing with building an offer, right? You're never really keeping the same thing until you find what works. When you get in a position where you find what works, then you just double down on that thing and just consistently improve it over time without making crazy changes to it, because obviously it works. So just realize that time's on your side. You don't have to feel like you can cheat time. Just go at your pace, figure out what style and what speed you like to work at, and go. I'm not saying just sit on your ass all day and screw off, play video games, scroll social media. I'm saying, if you're more of an entrepreneur that likes to think through things and that likes to have a good outlook on what you're trying to achieve before you actually build, then be that entrepreneur. You don't have to be that guy that yaps into ChatGPT exactly what you're trying to build in an hour, and then it builds out the whole framework for you and you start building it and it's done in one day, right? Like, that's definitely achievable, right? And that's what AI is allowing us to be capable of. But at the end of the day, you cannot cheat time. Even if you do build the product in a day, it's still going to take you months to get it off the ground. So you might as well spend a little extra time. And this can be completely up to your timeline. If you're in a position where you're trying to get cash flow, yes, move with speed. But if you're in a position where, hey, I have cash flow already and now I'm trying to work towards something more long-term, something with more equity involved in it, the long-term play, take your time. There's no need to rush the long game. If you're in a position where you need cash flow, yes, go. Make that happen as fast as you can, because you're living on a day-to-day schedule at that point, right? A month-to-month schedule. Right, when you're looking for the long-term game, you're looking at like a year, multiple years, half a decade type of timeline. So understand that time's on your side and know when to use it wisely. Another thing is utilize AI. Utilize the tools you have around you. Now, this is probably the simplest advice I could give any entrepreneur, but just understand how to use AI. Build a simple operating system that you can use on a day-to-day basis to make your life easier with AI. For example, if you have ChatGPT, make projects that are specific to different areas of your life or different businesses that you have, and utilize it every day as like a thinking machine or something that you can give ideas into. Because we're at a state in life right now where, a lot of people don't have too many people close with them. And if you're in an early stage as an entrepreneur, you definitely need to have mentors, right? And they don't have to be mentors you've directly paid. They don't have to be mentors you even have a direct relationship with. They just need to be, people on YouTube, people that give out value, content, that are successful, that, post content on a consistent basis to give you value, right? And what I recommend, if you don't have anyone directly in your circle that you can communicate with, you should use ChatGPT. Now, it sounds crazy, but this is the world we're living in now, and this is what I experienced too when I first started out. I didn't have anyone I could talk to about this. I didn't have any friends in the game yet. I didn't have anyone I knew. So I just started to talk to ChatGPT, kind of made it, almost as if it was kind of my co-pilot throughout this. Kind of helped me bounce ideas off of each other. It was like my friend in the whole process. It just made the whole entrepreneurship game a lot easier for me. And don't even get me started with automations and systems to make your business even more effective. And this just matters about the vehicle you're in. If you're in, the local service vehicle, right, more of an owner-operator, systems, automations, delegations are super important because you are the business, right? You don't have employees, you don't have anything, you are the business. You take care of the marketing, You take care of the sales, you take care of the fulfillment. So automations, delegations are important. Go high level, utilize a CRM system, and just build your infrastructure through that. Super simple. And then I would also say, if you are in it right now, you're in it. You're in the trenches. You're in this position where it just feels like you're on the right track, but you're not doing the right things. Now let me explain how that feels. So right now I feel like I'm on the right track, and I'm starting to feel like I'm doing the right things. But there's circumstances where you feel like you're on the right track, and the inputs you're getting, right? Like think about the inputs we're getting on a consistent basis within our environment. We're on social media, right? We're on Instagram consistently. And I think Instagram and like more short form content platforms are the bigger problem with this. Because YouTube, you can be a lot more selective with what you see because you can preview it, right? But with short form, it just pops up on your feed. So I think with like Instagram and short form content, we're always consuming other people in our industry, or other people that are successful, and we're seeing their results, and we're seeing how fast they're going and how much money they're making, how great their life is, right? And obviously, yes, it could be fake. And it almost makes us think, wow, like, why are we doing this? What is the purpose of me doing this? Right? And it's almost like you feel guilty for not being, like, at least like in the online world. And this is how I feel, right? It's like, oh my gosh, why am I not making online money yet? Like, why am I not making internet money? This is such a waste of time as a service business owner. Like, what am I doing here? And the real answer is, first of all, these guys probably aren't making as much money as they say they are. Second of all, they're probably living a fake life on social media. And third of all, you are in the trenches building the best business that you can build to learn, scale, and change your life forever. It's a local service business, if you take the right steps. And last, is they're probably years ahead of you, man. Like, you are just starting out, or you're a couple years in, like, they're probably years ahead. They're at least a couple years ahead of you. So you got to think about it instead of, hey, not money in the bank. It's how far ahead of you on the time scale. Because either time or money, and a lot of people measure with money, which is it's not the best way to measure. Because yeah, you could have $100 million in the bank, and I could have, $100K in the bank, but you could also be 10 years ahead of me, right? So keep that in mind as you're online and you're seeing other people and you're getting jealous, or you're getting, doubt that like what you're doing isn't worth it in the long run, and it's not going to get you to the numbers that they have. Just remember that they're ahead of you, right? Time-wise, on the time scale, they probably are. And they're probably not living the life that they say they are, and that what it looks like, at least on social media. So cancel out the noise, clear it out. Get Opal on your phone, stay off social media if you can, and just clear it. Like, clear out the noise. It's not worth it. And then for a more tactical business advice, you need to use organic channels in your marketing. The biggest thing you can understand is marketing. And I personally believe that marketing and sales are basically the same thing. Basically. I mean, if your marketing is good enough and your sales funnel is good enough, or your overall funnel in general, you don't have to get on sales calls. You don't have to do much selling at all. If you have a great product and a great offer, your marketing should do all the selling for you. So just think about it like that. Like, you do not have to worry about sales. You should focus more on marketing. It's the biggest skill you can have is how to be a good marketer, and then just understand your product really well and like the fulfillment process. That's the easiest way to see success in business consistently, not just for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. You see it consistently over time, staying at consistent revenue numbers. And you got to know your numbers, man. You got to know how much you're spending to get customers. You got to know exactly what your profit margins are. You got to know, okay, so if I spend this much on marketing, I'm going to get this much back, right? If I spend $1,000 on marketing, I'm going to get $3,000 back. That's a 3x ROAS. or if I spend $1,000 on marketing, I'm getting $10,000 back, right? So you can realistically figure out exactly how much money you need to spend to make. I need to spend $1,000 this month on ads to make $10,000 in revenue for my business. This is the easiest way to understand how to scale and how to just make more money as a service business. It's like, okay, if I want to hit a 6-figure month, I need to spend $10K on ads, $10,000 to make $100,000 in monthly revenue. That's a really good return on ad spend. Pretty solid, right? And in a local service business, you could see even better numbers than that with less ad spend, right? So like, understand your numbers, get your business math dialed in, and it's going to be really easy for you to understand what you need to do to scale. It's really that simple. Like, if you know your numbers, you have so much clarity in your business. It's inevitable that you see success because you know what you need to do to see success and hit the goals that you're trying to hit. And another thing I'd like to say too, more on like the money side and just the management side, just like, I've never really had the material kind of obsession yet in this point. Like, I'm not really at that point where I'm like crazy liquid. I just got 6 figures sitting in my bank account that I could just throw on whatever I want. I'm just going to say it now. Maybe I fall into the trap. I'm hoping I don't. Don't spend your money on stupid shit, dude. Just save that stuff, man. Live below your means so you can stack bread and keep building. The most important thing you can do right now is keep building. Like, nothing else matters. The cars, the watches, the penthouses, the girls, nothing matters. That doesn't matter. It's all bullshit. Like, live below your means, save your money, stack your bread, and keep fucking building. I guarantee you, all the guys that are sitting here flexing, once they get older, once they look back on that point in their life and they outgrow it, they're gonna be like, man, I wish I lived a little differently. I wish I was more smart with my money. I wish I wasn't blowing 100K at the club every night. I wish I was living a little bit below my means. When you do that, life becomes so much easier. You can start saving, you start getting cushions, you can start feeling more freedom, right? Like, I'd rather feel freedom than tie downs, right? Like, material objects, material possessions does not equal freedom. So that's something to keep in mind as an entrepreneur. I still drive the same, beat up car I've driven since high school. It does what it needs to do. It drives. It's our company truck. It's not pretty. I want to upgrade, but it runs. It goes where it needs to go. It gets me where we want to go, right? It's just sacrifices you need to make. And I'm not saying you have to live that way forever. I'm just saying, if you think you need it, you probably don't. Living below your means is literally the hack to get what you want and get the freedom you want to build. Because I would rather have the freedom to build my business and build something worthwhile than have all these material possessions and all this shit banging around just to look cool on Instagram, and not have the freedom to build, because then you have so much you need to focus on. You have so many tie downs. And it's just like, what's the point? There's none. And man, everyone will tell you, and you'll probably get a lot of quiet, no support. People don't want to support, and it low-key breaks my heart, but I understand why. It's like, they don't want you to be doing bigger things. Like, they want you to be normal because it's risky. Like, your family, your loved ones, people close to you, they're gonna, doubt you. They're gonna maybe not say that to your face. Sure, they might be supportive, but they don't want you to do it because they care for you and they want to see you be comfortable and just in a good place. But when you put yourself in the entrepreneurship world, you learn very quickly that things aren't comfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's hard, and it's going to take a lot of time for you to actually see what you're trying to get out of it, right? Like, you don't know what you're trying to get out of it. Like, you're just going into entrepreneurship probably because you want to make money, or you saw someone on Instagram, or you want financial freedom. Like, everybody has their reason, right? And you don't know how long it's going to take you to get there. And your family, your friends, people close to you, they care for you. At least your close family does, I would hope. But the reason they care for you, and they care for you, and they don't want you to do something that's risky because they care for you. That's the only reason why they don't support you. If they support you in your journey, amazing. That makes your entrepreneurship beginning so much easier. But if they don't, that's the only reason. Like, they just don't want you to take the risk because they'd rather see you comfortable, just because it's just something that they have to stress about in their life too, because they care for you. And then friends, I would just cut them off because most friends come with bad habits. Now, my high school friends, I completely ditched. I mean, do I regret it? No, I don't regret it. Maybe the way I did it, I regret. Not being more open and upfront about it. I'm a ghosty type of guy. Like, I just kind of disappear. I don't say anything. I just kind of go away. So that's what I did to my friends. It's been about 2 years since that. I just kind of went all in on business and just kind of, hey, I know you guys, whatever you got to do. We've been friends for the past, however long it was, since childhood. But, I can't live the lifestyle you're living anymore if I want to be successful. It's not that you're ditching the friend, it's that you're ditching the lifestyle that was associated with that friend. And the only way to completely get rid of that lifestyle was to, ditch that friend. I'd be perfectly happy to go talk to these guys again and catch up with them, because I'm out of that lifestyle now. Like, there's no way I'm going back, It's almost like I just had to go quiet for a little while. Not because I don't like who they are as people, just because I couldn't be around them because I would get sucked into that lifestyle, right? So those are some of the things that I'm learning here as we go into 2026. And this is very surface level stuff, more for like kind of beginner entrepreneurs, early entrepreneurs. We'll see who sees value in this video. It's 9:44, so I thought I'd make a quick video. This is like a 40-minute yap. So yeah, man, entrepreneurship is a hard game. It really is. It's not for the weak-minded. And I'll tell you right now, 99.9% of entrepreneurs fail. They quit, they give up. I'm 2.5 years into this, man, and I haven't succeeded in anything crazy. I don't even think I've generated 6 figures in a specific vehicle yet. And I'm still cooking, I'm still going. I feel like I have a lot of value to give to the marketplace, and I feel like it's finally time for me to start getting on the right path and start seeing, success and start playing the time game, right? Start staying on a consistent path for as long as I possibly can, because years and years of consistency will lead to generational wealth. So if you're on the grind right now and you're pushing as an entrepreneur to try to make something happen for yourself, I believe in you. And I know that if you keep going, you're going to make it. Like, it's inevitable, bro. Like, when you think about it as if it's like, hey, if I don't quit, I'm going to win. If I don't quit, I'm going to win. If you think about it like that, that's how easy the game is. If you don't quit, you will win. It's hard to hold. I hope you enjoyed this advice. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be dropping more videos here shortly. Peace.